Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gloria Deo Academy, raising lifelong worshipers, lifelong learners, and lifelong servants. This is our community podcast. We're going to give it a try here. And to start off the new year, I wanted to just quickly talk about raising kids who enjoy reading. And this came about because we were enjoying the holiday break. We had some friends over, and one mom friend asked me, "So, what is so and so reading right now?" And she was referring to my oldest child. And I realized I got caught off, not necessarily caught off guard, but that I didn't have an answer for her. And I was a little shocked at myself for that. What is my daughter reading? Like, is she reading right now in her off time? Because as a family, we'd been, checking off other boxes that I was pleased that we had other read alouds during the day. We had a read aloud as a family at bedtime that we were doing. And she read for school. She had her reading that she enjoyed for literature class. However, I wasn't sure anymore what she had on her Kindle and she was going through. And so with this circumstance, it brought me back with the new year to reflect on where is my family at. I know that I want them to be lifelong learners like we do at GDA, and I want them to be lifelong readers. I really have a strong desire for all of my children to love reading and to desire to read in their leisure time. And what I try to do as a mother in my home is create an atmosphere that is very conducive to that. So making sure my kids have access to great literature. I don't remember if I heard this quote or read it somewhere, but it was impactful to me, and it helped my frame of mind when making decisions, making choices for my kids and what kind of atmosphere I'm raising them in. But the quote was this. It said, "If you spend all of your time on okay things, then you won't have time for the great things." Because so many times if my kids are reading something or watching something, saying, "Well, it's not bad. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine." But then we're not making time for the truly great things. And that, more than anything, is the educational feast, what I want to lay out for my children, that I want them to be exposed to, and then I want them to encounter in their formative years as they're younger and growing into their identity and who they're going to become. So today, I wanted to share with you just 3 ideas and then a few resources, and I'll do my best to link the resources in the show notes, I guess is how we're going to say that. So please have grace and forgiveness because this is my first time to try this. But the 3 things I wanted to share with you, if you also are interested in really making sure we're trying to cultivate kids who love to read and enjoy reading for fun. And that is to make sure we are, like I said, creating an atmosphere that makes these books readily accessible to them. That doesn't mean that we have to go out and buy a whole bunch of books and stock their bedrooms with um, all the great books that we love, but maybe occasional trips to the library, but having books in mind that I know I'm going to get. I like when my kids experience the library and browse for books and wait to see what kind of books call out to them that they're going to pick up off the shelf. But they also have to learn discernment on what might be a good book, or when they start reading something and find out this actually wasn't that great of a book. Because there's still no, even though it's at the local library, there's still no guarantee that this is going to be great literature for their age level or their reading level. So how I overcome this is that I have a family book list that I like to make at the beginning of each year. And so I do this in January, and sometimes it falls out. I'm not able to always stick with it all the way through the whole next year, but it helps me have a place to come back to when I get stuck and I don't want to spend an hour on Pinterest or somewhere else looking for books and then reading all the reviews to determine, is this going to be a good book? So I just make a list for the family that I can go to for when I'm looking for my next Audible book or bedtime read aloud, that, hey, this is like a set of 15 books that I'm going to go off of. And then whatever book I pick off that list is just whatever I'm in the mood for to read with that season. So number one is you can create a family book list and keep it on hand. Keep it with the school stuff or in the kitchen so that you always know, hey, that's a good book. And number two is you can make personalized book lists for your kids as well, which is something that I do. And so this is just once a year, I sit down and I go through what kind of books now do I think, both that I think my daughter would enjoy or my 8-year-old son. So they have different books on the list. Sometimes they have the same book. I have The Bark of the Bog Owl is one of the books I have on both of their lists this year. And when they finish a book on their Kindle, and I am happy to download new books for them, and I really try to encourage them to pick a book off of that list, off of their reading list. So number one, you can have a family list set aside for the year that you can pull from. And number two, you can have personalized book lists for your kids. And then number three is we like to celebrate their reading. I really try to um, engage in conversations with them. I want to hear about the book. How's it going? Asking open ended questions about what they're reading and what they think about this or that related to it. And then I don't want to set goals or reading requirements. So I never say, like, we're going to read X amount of books because then I really feel like it steals some of the joy of reading for just reading for fun. But I do still want to celebrate their reading accomplishments when they're reading something beyond just a joke book because they can fall into like, nope, I'm just reading a joke book. And, as a mom, I'm like, well, let's see if we can find some more stuff to read that's not just a joke book. But, and how we celebrate those reading accomplishments is, and I can share those as well. So message me if you're interested in that. But one of the things is they get to go maybe on a date night with mom or dad, or they get to have a late night movie night based on where they're at in their reading accomplishments. And they really look forward to those things as well. And so they know that, like, hey, we're celebrating you and you are growing and learning. And we love that. And we want to celebrate that in our home. So what about these lists? Like, how do you know where to start? And how, if you don't want to spend a lot of time, I actually don't spend a crazy amount of time making these lists. I have a trusted resource that I go to, and I'll put that link, and that is Sarah Mackenzie's Read Aloud Revival. And so at her website at readaloudrevival.com, you can go to Booklists, and you can either get a custom book recommendation by filling out one of her forms, or you can scroll down to just tons and tons of book lists. She has them based on month of the year or season or age, or books for boys, books for girls. And this is what I love to go to because then I feel like Sarah's already done a lot of the work as far as is this going to be, healthy for my kids, healthy for their mental lives and their hearts, and is this going to be something that is okay in my home? And almost 99% of the time, I don't have any issues at all with books on Sarah Mackenzie's reading list. And I honestly can't even think of a time where I would have had a conflict with a book. But if you haven't checked out her website, I highly recommend to go to readaloudrevival.com and explore or use one of Sarah's lists and put together your own book list for the year. And that way you'll always have good books readily available to share with your kids or encourage them to read in their off time. If you decide to check out Read Aloud Revival's podcast, there's also podcast number 43 where Sarah interviews with Danial Willingham, who wrote the book Raising Kids Who Read. And that's another resource available for you as well that I just wanted to make you aware of. So that's all I have today for raising readers in the new year, creating book lists for your family, and celebrating their reading accomplishments. I hope you all have a great beginning to the new semester and a great first week back. Thanks, everyone.